Okay, just on the, I mean, obviously the job story was something that Rogoff talked about, and jobs seem to be core to trying to work out just how deep this economic recession is going to get. John Thain of Merrill Lynch reluctantly renounced his plea for a bonus this year amid cries of outrage. Morgan Stanley's John Mack will not receive one for a second year running, and AIG's chairman is on a cool $1 a year salary. So what are the chances of you negotiating a good bonus this season? Derek Pilcher is managing director at TheLadders.co.uk. Derek, good to see you this morning. Just on the issue of job security, what is the environment like at the moment?
I think it's about putting it into context. If you look in '07, the big five banks, the bonus pool that they paid out was in the region of $39 billion, whilst at the same time the shareholder losses through that period were almost $80 billion. So you can clearly see there's going to be some constriction in terms of the bonus pool moving forward into this year. What we're hearing is, let's call it the top performers, the 5% of that headcount, their bonuses are going to stay around about the same. But it's underneath that level, the mid to lower level traders, that are going to see some serious constriction of their bonuses coming into this year.
We've only seen jobs lost in the financial industry. What did we say? About 160,000 worldwide, we think, at this point. Yeah. What more do you think there is to be done in terms of, well, right-sizing these organisations?
I certainly think there's some more pain to be seen in that sector if you take both financial services and the banking industry. Whilst the wider economy, we're seeing some upswings. Certainly, you look at the TheLadders.co.uk audience and the number of jobs being posted onto that site. We're seeing some swings in pharmaceuticals, in technology in particular. So that, you know, it's a balanced risk, I think, moving forward.
How do I keep my job if, or what are the warning signs? Maybe talk us through that. How should I tell, or how do I get an inkling that I'm going to be fired, and what do I do about it to prevent that happening?
I think you have to keep your ear to the ground. Certainly, you have to understand the real financials of your business. You have to understand your relationship in terms of the wider senior management team, and between that, you're going to start to assess how your own role and your own division is really standing up.
What should people do? I mean, I guess there's still people who believe that they are actually, you know, they're still they're outperforming their peers. They don't want to sell themselves short just because times are tough. Yeah. So what do they do?
Well, I was going to say, it's not just about will I get a bonus. It really is about how do I negotiate that bonus. There's probably three areas that really need to be looked at. One is know your worth. Yep, so benchmark yourself against your peers, understand the value contribution that you're making, and then looking at that value contribution, what exactly is a tangible value contribution that you're making? What's the impact either to the bottom line or to the business overall? And then, of course, the most difficult thing is really about the timing. And right now, we're in a really difficult time. So those are the three things to think about.
What evidence are you seeing of transitioning in the employment scenario now, particularly when we talk about these investment banking losses? Are you seeing any evidence of those, in many respects, quite clearly skilled people recycled into different portions of the economy?
Well, we're certainly seeing in terms of the Ladders audience, we're seeing a huge upswing in the numbers of people coming out of banking and financial services, and certainly interested in relocating outside of that sector. Yeah. And of course, as I said earlier on, there's plenty of opportunity outside of those two sectors that have been really hit by the current downturn. Yeah. I'd certainly say that you know, looking at where we're at, it's now about making sure that the companies that have the opportunities are making them available to the wider audience.
Ross Westgate's joined us up on set. Ross is in charge of the next hour. What are you going to be doing to justify your salary for the next hour, Ross?
Get a good agent. There you go. I think that's top of the pile for a start. Morning, Jeff. Coming up on today's Worldwide Exchange, plenty of data right at the top of the show. We've got the services PMI and composite PMI coming out of the Eurozone, so we'll bring that to you as well. We'll throw that into the interest rate discussion. We've also then got UK inflation coming out at 9:30 London time. We'll get through that, and of course we'll look ahead to the Fed today. We'll also be digging up what's going on with Japanese automakers. Can they renegotiate pretty good steel prices with the Japanese steel makers? We'll be looking at that, and plenty, of course, of global investment advice. That's all coming up shortly.
Okay. Does it help to get somebody else to speak on your behalf?
I don't think
Do
so.
you think, if you feel that you're not being recognised for your talents, or maybe you feel that you are vulnerable, but you just don't have the words to express how useful you think you are to the company? Is it worth going to maybe a close line manager and saying, would you represent me to senior management?
Yeah, I think you can do that. I think there's lots of opportunity out there in terms of the people and the services that are available, in terms of life coaches and those sort of skill sets that are there to really help you improve your bonus opportunity.
What can management do to maybe more clearly articulate their intentions for staff retention, for instance, or indeed staff reduction?
I think it's a number of things. If you look at management, one of the most challenging things right now is really reading between the lines and ensuring that your company isn't almost taking advantage of the current situation and putting a cap on payouts and, the things that really encourage office morale.
The management of any departure is always a difficult one. I think not only for the colleagues of the person who's leaving, but maybe for the manager who actually has to have that conversation. I mean, there are pretty good regulations now, I think, that control the way that most people are told that they're going to lose their job. But I know that you talk to managers as well as to employees. Just a bit of advice maybe for those who are watching who may have that difficult task today.
Yeah, I think we talk to managers and executives right across the UK, and I think you're right. I think it's about being honest. I think it's about being transparent and being open. It's about being fair. I think you can't avoid and try and sell that story in a way that's too soft. You just have to get to the point, keep it professional, concise, but once again fair.
Firing by email, I guess, is not an option.
No,
is it?
not really.
Very nice having you on. Thank you very much indeed for that. Derek Pilcher, Managing Director of TheLadders.co.uk. Thank you everybody for writing in today with your contributions to the discussions we've been having around the table. Worldwide Exchange is up in just a few minutes, of course, with Ross Westgate. We will be back with you tomorrow. Khalid Janahi, the chairman of Isma Bank, will be our guest host, so we'll be focusing a lot on the Middle East story. So get your thoughts and your questions ready for that program. If you're out there in the market, have a safe day, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.